Hello everyone, SirMonkeySuit Zabby here, back again with Hunter x Hunter. We're on episode 93, and in the last episode, Netero is now in his don't give a fuck mode. He is pretty much going to go all out at this point, I feel like. I mean, he's cut his ponytail, he's got his, his heart t-shirt on, whatever the fuck that means. But, I mean, you know, people like Nov and the other dude was basically saying that when he puts that shirt on, then, you know, it's all business from then on in. The Queen died, the Chimeran Queen died. The King obviously was born Meruem, whatever, he got his name, Meruem. So I guess that's what we're going to be referring to him as. He's fucked off to the Republic of Isagoto, wherever the hell that is. It seems to be like in the middle of nowhere. You know, probably going to end up being his new sort of palace. He's probably going to take over and sort of do stuff from there. But we'll see. I mean, who knows? Because, well, really, he doesn't really have much of a goal other than to just feed the lazy bastard. So, you know, he's just getting carried around. He could be just going around the whole fucking world just, you know, trying to find the delicacy that he likes. But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. A little infant came out after the Queen's sort of death that I feel like was like sort of like the last sort of bit of the King that, you know, before the King basically just, you know, forced himself out when he was birthed. Now, I think that was the last little bit that was supposed to go in, but then just ended up being its own thing. I don't think it'll grow, but Colt is going to look after it. And I honestly, I don't know if we'll even say Colt again. I think I was talking about that last episode. And yeah, I think that's all we really need to get into. So yeah, we're going to get to episode 93 and see what we get. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, episode 93. Right, well, where to fucking start on this one? I guess I'll get the palm stuff out of the way because it's you know, it's probably like, even though it's the name of the episode, it's the title of the episode, I don't really know how much it really matters in the long run, because I don't know really how serious it is. Even with Gon, like, taking it seriously, I really don't know how that is even going to last. I just don't, like... I mean, first of all, right, if we're going by like how long it's been since like the very first episode, then it's probably like he's got to be like not fifth, like 14 at most, I would say. It hasn't been 3 years, I don't think. Nah, I don't think so at all. I think he's at most 14 years, because it didn't seem like that long ago since Killua did the last hunter exam, so you get his hunter license, right? And that happens every year. And the one he went to was a year after the one that Gon and all of them took. So, and since then, it definitely hasn't been like another year. So yeah, I would say that he's 14 at the most. And she doesn't seem like she is. I mean, I guess she could be 20. The only reason why I bring that up is because I think there's a law in Japan where somebody who is like 18 or 20 at most can be in relationship with somebody who is 13, I believe, at the youngest, I think. But if you're older than 20, then you can't, and you have to wait until they're like 16 or 18 or something. It's something like that. So unless Palm is 20 years old or younger, then fucking hell. I mean, I'm only going by Japan's standards. I guess the world doesn't really take place in Japan though. It's its own world, so I guess it could have its own rules, but still, it's just odd. It's an odd thing. And you know, aside from that whole thing with Palm, apparently Gon is used to this because he's done things with other women before he even left to do the hunter exam. So how old was he then? like 10 years old, 11? Fucking hell, man. It's ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, so that's happening. And fucking hell, did Palm glow up? It's a hell of a makeover, that one. It's got to be like, that's just got to be just makeup and a wig. It has to be the wig. It has to be. That's just not the same hair. Alright, so, yeah, I mean, moving on from that. I'm surprised that Gon and Kilwan never mentioned Bisky. Like, did you notice that? Like, I figured they would say something. Because she never said that she was leaving. She just up and left. You know? She never told them she was leaving, so... I don't know. I mean, are they just thinking of it as like, oh well, kind of expecting that it would happen? I don't know. So yeah. Anyway, moving on to the king stuff. So the king, or Meruem, can get stronger by eating. Of fucking course he can. It makes sense with the Chimera ants, I suppose. You know, with the queen sort of doing it to give birth to, you know, things that end up being stronger, depends on what she eats. So, you know, it makes sense that the king would be able to just go around, eat, and then grab the aura from them, in turn getting stronger. In that case, then, I think he's more like Cell than Frieza. You know, I said like a few episodes ago when he was there, I was like, he's like Frieza. And I suppose, like, to some degree, the character design, I feel like, is possibly, it's more akin to Frieza, but I feel like he's probably more like Cell in that regard. Also the colour palette of him, I suppose. It's more like just like the sort of design of what he is, aside from the colour, that reminds me more of Frieza, but oh well, whatever. So yeah, I was sort of right in that he's using this place as a fucking, like, I don't know if it's necessarily a base, but it is a meat plantation of where you can, like, just food stores and whatnot. He brought up the ideology of like, you know, the likes of cattle and pigs and how humans wouldn't, you know, you don't take notice of that stuff when it's just livestock, you know, and you're killing animals for you know, for produce and you know, basically for food. Which is an ideology that is very similar to what they did in Parasite. You know, I've reacted to that, and that was the same thing that the parasites sort of you know, asked the humans and whatnot. It's like, why do you see us as villains when really, you know, it's like, it's nothing different from what you do to livestock. So, you know, it's definitely one of those kind of things where you're just like, yeah, I mean, but that's the thing, is like, because we are humans and we are the you know, the dominant species, it's not really something that you really care about, you know. Generally, you know, it's considered because humans and whatnot, like, have a consciousness, and, you know, we have all of these things that livestock, you know, and animals, you know, don't have. You know, that in the end it doesn't really matter. And I just went into the Linkin Park in the end lyrics there, but you know, but yeah, I mean I'm not like a vegetarian or a vegan myself, you know what I mean. You know, it's one of those, it's just one of those things, but it's definitely like a sort of a good argument for the sake of that kind of villain to, you know, to not give them any leeway in terms of, like, you know, begging for their lives. It's just like, oh well, you know. Not that I really think he would care anyway. Like, I don't think he looks at the whole, you know, oh, like, you know, humans do this to livestock. I don't think he really even cares for that. I think he was just like sort of back-chatting and you know, basically giving an argument for the sake of it. I don't think he would care, even if they did. Like, even if all the humans were vegetarian or whatever, I honestly don't think he would care, you know. But it is what it is. So yeah, he's going to make a meat plantation out of that palace. Jeez. I don't know really how good of a location that is for a meat plantation, though. It's literally out in the middle of nowhere. So you would have to go out. Like, remember, it's only him and 3 other people. You would have to get all of these humans and drag them back, like, one by one, wouldn't you? Like, so it's not going to be very efficient, is it? It's in the middle of nowhere. I don't know. Just me, though. So yeah, I was kind of right. It's not really his sort of base of operations. Kind of. Well, I guess it could be. I guess it could also double as that. But as a meat plantation, I wouldn't exactly... Actually, you know what? No, I might be wrong. It actually might be his base of operations as well as a meat plantation, because really it's like, you know, the only thing he's wanting to do is really eat. There's nothing really else he really wants to do, right? So I suppose I suppose there would be no reason for him to move out if he can just get his cohorts to go and get the food for him. After all, that's what a king generally does, isn't it? Sits around and lets other people do the shit for him. But yeah. So what's next? Knuckle phoned up Gon, talking about Kite, thinking he was being controlled. Now, I don't think it's a case of Kite. Oh, sorry, I don't think it's a case of Knuckle, like, letting Gon down, like, you know, like, lightly. Like, I don't think it's a case of, like, I don't think Knuckle knows that Kite is dead, you know, because it's come from Nefer. I don't think that he would know that this is like Nen that sort of like brought him back from the dead and he's not the same person anymore. And you know, Knuckle would just assume that no, he's just being controlled. So yeah, I don't know when this is taking place as well, because I remember on the last episode when they did see him that it was like, you know, they were about ready to fight, you know. So I don't know if it's been a case of like, you know, they've been keeping him at bay. If that's the case, then Kite is still very, very prominent and very well off. I don't know if he's to a degree of like how good he was before he died, but yeah, I hate how they keep bringing it up all the time. It's like they just rub it in all the time. Kite's alive. I knew it. He's not. You know, fuck's sake. So yeah, the cheetah dude. I know he has a fucking name. I just can't remember. I didn't write it down. He's, you know, kind of just out doing his own thing, like the other people, like the other, you know, Ansar as well. But it seems like Cheetah's being very prominent in the show right now. So when it came up on the news, Killua was, you know, looking like, you know, where this stuff was happening versus where they are, because he's a cheetah. He's the quickest one out of the lot, so he can get there no trouble at all. It's just a question of whether or not he just senses the power and whatnot, and then, you know, heads towards that direction, eventually coming up, you know, to face them. I have a feeling that'll be an inevitable thing that'll happen. Like, Cheetah will find them. I was thinking at the end there that it would be Cheetah that found them, but it's not. It's Ramhut, so that's great. Showing up for a revenge fight, because I know how the first one went. Like, they were caught off guard by Ramhut's attack, and that was before we had Nen. They managed to do some damage to him, but it was 2-on-1 then. And now that Ramhut has Nen, and it's just against Killua, they have been training, but it's going to be a case of, I feel like this is going to be a very, like, a quintessential sort of fight for Killua, because I feel like Ramhut is going to be, I mean, Killua does this percentage thing of like how, you know, how good it is, you know, how good of a chance it is to win, right? He does the percentage thing. I think he says like 75% is, you know, like the ideal stage. When it goes below that and it's like, well, now you need to start thinking of how we're going to get, you know, like how we're going to get out of here alive. I would like to think that Ramhut is possibly like stronger than him. And the chances of winning aren't probably even that. Like, I don't even know if they'll probably be 50-50. But it's hard to kind of quantify that without Killua saying it himself. You know, like I couldn't really gather, because with the Chimera Ant's power is so like variable that and it's so varied that I don't know. There would be no way I would be able to tell. I just think, like, based off the first fight that they had, and it was a 2-on-1 situation versus how long they've had, and Ramhut didn't have Nen before. Killua, of course, has been training. I would still think that Ramhut is stronger than him in a one-on-one. And this is going to be a quintessential fight for Killua because he's had this whole being cautious thing, and he, you know, to fight against somebody who is stronger than you and come out on top is something that he needs to get over. He needs to do so. You know, I feel like this would be a quintessential fight, and I don't know if it'll end up changing the whole, you're going to have to leave Gon. I know Bisky said that if you don't win the fight with Shoot, then you'd have to leave Gun, but I don't know if it's like, I don't. It's a weird thing. Because I feel like if Killua was able to overcome the caution thing by beating Ramod here, then surely there would be no reason for him to leave him. Because at that point, then he would have gotten over the whole being cautious, right? But that's just the interesting thing, is because Bisky, narrowed it down to like, if you don't beat Shoot, then you have to leave him. That's. And I feel like it could have been just given as a sort of incentive for Killua to try extra hard, but, it's just one of those things. I mean, Bisky's fucked off anyway, so there's nothing really stopping Killua from staying with Gon. If he feels like he's overcome this cautious type, style that he has, then there'll be no reason to leave him. But yeah, I mean, it's going to have to end in a death here. And I doubt it's going to be Killua. I just don't see it happening. The other interesting thing that could happen with this fight is the whole "you will leave Gon to die" kind of thing. Now, when that was first brought up, the image that comes to mind is like, both Gon and Killua are right next to each other, and they're involved in a fight. And Killua knows that Gon's going to die, so then he legs it, right? And that to me just seems so it seems out of character for him. Especially how much he really, he truly loves Gon as a friend. And sort of sizing that up with the whole thing of being cautious and whatever, I feel like we've had so many moments of Killua, like looking over at Gon and being like just surprised and just the love that he has for his mate is like, I just feel like it would just be out of character for him to do that, Now, that being said, I know that throughout the show, it's also the whole thing of Gon's friendship has also been, like either called into question or it's been brought up, as a topic of conversation between characters. Back when they were at the Zoldyck family home and whatnot, and Killua was talking to his dad, there was that whole thing of, what was it? There was something about protecting your friends or something like that, or whatever. And then when he left, the mother came and spoke to the dad, Silva, right? And they were talking about how there was something that was brought up. It's just been that long ago, man. I mean, at this point, it would have been 70 episodes ago, I think. So that's a lot. That's a lot of episodes, What was it they said? They said that I felt like there was a conversation between the mother and the father after Killua had left, where they basically said that like he will inevitably hurt his friends or something like that, right? There was something like that, and I can't fucking remember it. But basically, I'm just making it as a point that it's been brought up before this. It's been brought up in the past. So, I suppose weighing them up, I guess it could be seen as sort of like a 50-50 thing, but I don't know. I feel like we've seen a lot more of like that friendship blossom to where like I just feel like it would take priority, over Killua's well-being. So but that's something that I think will make this fight with Ramod very quintessential. Is those two things, getting over that cautious thing, and possibly if there ever comes a point within this fight where Killua has to back off and sort of retreat or something, realizes that Ramod's not there. If he finds Gon, I mean, it's gonna have to be up to Palm to protect him, because that's the thing as well with Palm. We don't know how good she is yet. We haven't really seen what she can do with Nen. So in a fight, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if she would struggle as well. I don't know like where she lies on the scale of how good she is, but that's the thing, is like leaving Gon to die it could mean that, like, you know, that could also be seen as leaving going to die, even though it's not like an intentional thing. It could be just one of those things where, you know, it just occurs because of how cautious you are. You know, it's not like what I thought before, the image in my head of, like, in the middle of a fight, Killua knows that he has to get away, but in doing so, he's leaving gone to die. That is a bit more literal, whereas I think it might not be as literal in the writing. So it could be just an unintentional leave going to die kind of thing. But leaving going to die doesn't necessarily mean that Gon is going to die. It just means that, you know, like, Killua leaving to not try and help Gon, you know. But if someone else comes in at the time, then that's, you know. Oh, anyway. Yeah. Speaking of the news anchor woman, anyway, from before, like, you see, this is the thing, like, I feel like because we are so on a, it's like a one-track kind of story where, and that's not me, you know, calling the writing like bad because it's like one track. Like, by one track I mean, like, it's staying focused on the elements of the arcs in which we are in at the moment. It's like they don't really go into the background a lot of world exposition and world building and stuff like that. Like, the news anchor woman, who is she? What is she? Because she's not human, unless she's like, I don't think she's human anyway, unless she's just had, like, you know, she's been modified, you know, genetically maybe. I don't know. I mean, she's got a blue eye and a pink eye, not in that way. But, you know, I mean, she's purple. And she's got these... Wait a minute, are those... No. I was going to say those are like pins, like yellow pins, but that's what Thingy was using. They're not the same. They look like golf tees, actually, that's in her head. And I don't know what they are or what they mean. I don't know if it's just holding her hair in place. I don't know. I don't know. I was going to say it's a Lumi because of the yellow pins, but no, the yellow pins look completely different than on her. But yeah, the thing is, like, I would love to know, like, I would love that to be like a side show where, like, it goes into, like, other parts of the world and just see what it's all about, you know? Because it just things like cropping up that I'm just like, what are you? What are you? You know? But, you know, because the likes of Gon and Killua, you know, like, you know, watching this on the news and they're not like, what the hell's that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not bothered by it. So it's a regular occurrence, yet it doesn't seem like to be brought up at any time what they are or anything like that. But, you know, that's what I mean by, like, the sort of the story's like one track. It doesn't, like, deviate into other stuff a lot. And yeah, that's all I've got. So yeah, I mean, just get straight into episode 94 after this. So just write that down there. Right, so yeah. So, thank you everyone for watching. In the description below, I have links to certain things. One of them is Discord, so you can get yourself over there. And I also have a Patreon page as well, so if you do want to support me on Patreon, that'd be very much appreciated. There is a bunch of different tiers and rewards there, depending on how much you want to support me with. So there's the early access tier there. $5 a month gives you access to shows a week early, and you get 4 episodes of Hunter x Hunter every week. That's 2 on Monday and 2 on Friday, as opposed to the YouTube general public that only get 2 episodes a week. So by the time this episode comes out on YouTube for the general public, you can go over, become an early access tier patron, and have access to, like, you know, like the rest of the show in reactions. So if you can binge watch the entire rest of the show within like a month, then it's only going to cost you $5 for the rest of the show. So it's a pretty good deal. So yeah, go over and have a look at that. There's also $10 a month for the full length. That doesn't really matter for this show, but for other shows you will need that. And then there are other tiers where you can pay to have a certain show reacted to. So if you want me to react to a show, then go have a look at those tiers and see what's up. But that is all I've got. So thank you for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.